What's good? What's good? The way I'm sitting right now, it's a nice little stretch. I spend a lot of time sitting in my van, contemplating, pondering, cogitating, and that's why I make these videos, because I just like to ramble and shit. But that's how I'm currently sitting. But it's a nice stretch. Let's see if I can hold it for the duration of this video. Welcome to the dumb ages. I was just reading about sort of time periods, and I like to randomly read about history. I'm not someone who has a lot of knowledge about one specific thing. I have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things. It's a problem, but also a really cool feature, I believe, because I can synthesize a lot of things from different perspectives and directions. And so I just like to do that. And I've come to the conclusion that as modernity ends, modernity being the time period spanning from about 1500 to, we'll call, say, 2020. We'll say modernity ended in 2020. And you would think, given all of the technological advancement and innovation we have experienced over the last 100 years, moving away from the Industrial Revolution to the technological revolution, you would think the new period would be called the technological era or the technological period or something tech related. But no. This new period is going to be called the dumb ages, modeled after the Dark Ages, which led way to the Renaissance. And so it's all connected in that before we can truly experience this wonderful technological revolution, because I do believe technology inherently is not bad. Few things in reality are inherently bad. It is how they are utilized that gives them their sort of net positive or net negative value. And so we're currently in a dystopian authoritarian paradigm where ruling classes are trying to consolidate power and resources, and they're using technology to do so. They are attempting to usher in a technocratic future, and we're not going to let that happen. Or rather, it's not going to take over the whole globe, but they're going to have their little pockets of wins and losses. And because we are in this transitionary period between literal historical ages, there is a lot of chaos that often comes with this. And that's like symbolic of how growth happens. The cycle of death and rebirth can be seen throughout mythology and history for as long as humans have been documenting their experiences. That's a universal law, death and rebirth. And so a lot of the old paradigm needs to die before we can actually build a new, better, beautiful reality. And so when I talk about this concept of the new earth, that is very much an esoteric, spiritual, conscious community thing that I think it can be brought into philosophy and rationality, discussing things like the stateless society and how we will not evolve as a collective until we can collectively understand this concept of sovereignty, which is a spiritual and philosophical term. Far too many people have been propagandized to believe that force is necessary to construct society, that they should have a right to control other people's lives. And that is intentional because it divides humans and it engages them to become consciously complicit to an extent to a very immoral system, the system that we live in today, this neoliberal fascist sort of governance. That was the word I was looking for. I had to pause. Governance. So a lot of people, and it's intentional, it's truly intentional. So as I talk about the fact that we're living, or we're entering the dumb ages, or we've entered them, but the transitions are never like cut and dry, right? It's not like the modernity ended this date. It's a spectrum's not the right word, but there's some overlap, right? And so one thing that I don't talk about enough that I need to get better at is compassion. Even as I say it, it's hard, but when it's easy to say people are brainwashed. Yeah, you're brainwashed. You're an NPC. And it's true, but it's also sad. These people's agencies, their emotional, psychological, spiritual agencies have been so tampered with that they are no longer autonomous agents interacting with reality. They have become slaves to a system. And that's a strong word, but and me personally, I the word applies. We are slaves to the system, but we need to find, and so that's why I consistently talk about how we can resist and how we just need to stop obeying, and we need to begin constructing parallel societies. But I don't want a victim mentality to be associated with the use of the word slave. That's what my earlier ambivalence was. Finding the right words in these stream of consciousness chats can be hard sometimes. I would really like to do more long form content with people, but so few people are able to have conversations at any level beyond mainstream media talking points. I don't think I've said anything mainstream media-y. This is just my own interpretation of what's going on, and of analyzing history and philosophy and psychology and whatnot. And so, while yes, we are slaves, we must not take in that victim mentality. We must fight for our independence and not let them win, even if they do win physically. And by that, I mean, if I end up in jail, they will have won physically, but I must not ever let them take my mind. And I'll wrap up the video really quickly, sort of here. Thank you very much if you've watched so far. I ramble, but I think there are nuggets of some goodness in here. And so I really would appreciate it if you would like, comment, share, subscribe. We're going to build the new earth together, and it's going to take all of us. I want to do my part. And if I can get a broader reach and get more people talking about the new earth, then I will feel fulfilled. So thank you very much. Let me wrap up here. What has been inspiring me lately is Epictetus, the philosopher. He was a literal slave for most of his life, and yet he is one of the greatest minds that history has produced, because he did not let them take his mind. And I've been personally I've been battling a victim mentality, and I need to get out of it. And learning about Epictetus, and I can hear him in my head. I've been hearing him in my head telling me to stop being a victim. Stop being a victim. And so that's my own personal journey as it's connected to all of this. So yes, we are slaves, but yet we can fight back and we can resist. And if they win physically, we will have won spiritually. We'll have won intellectually. And that's what matters most. This 3D construct, reality construct that we live in, it is cool and fascinating and wonderful and beautiful and all of that. But but it's a temporary experience for growth and learning of something far beyond us, something more transcendent than us. I'll end the video there. Thank you very much for watching. Much love.